I want to just take a few minutes here, and as I reflect on the Terner Center for Housing Innovation's first 5 years, I want to take you back in time a little bit. The inspiration for starting the Terner Center at its core comes from Don Terner's whatever it takes passion and drive for positive change, plus a dose of my own decades of the working in the trenches, both in policy and program administration and government, and then 20 years on the ground developing housing for all. And coming to Berkeley, I wanted to have a platform that could get above and outside of the traditional confines that often hold back good solutions. At some level, I felt then, and I feel now, like we know what to do. Don knew what to do. And while the world has changed radically in the almost 40 years since what you see on this slide was produced, much of it, sadly, is still relevant today. If only we had taken all 101 steps in 1982, perhaps the Terner Center would not have been needed. Yet it is clear to me that what is needed is clearer evidence, education and exposure to the ideas and solutions that can make a difference. And we need these ideas presented by credible voices. We lost Don more than 20 years ago, but his commitment can live on through our work. When we launched this Terner Center, I posted this blog, No Limits. It continues to ring true and to guide our work. I hope you will take a minute sometime after this event and go back and read it. It's on our website. I do think Don would be proud of what we have done so far, but he wouldn't be satisfied for sure, knowing how much more needs to be done. His wife, Deirdre English, an accomplished journalist, writer, and teacher here at UC Berkeley School of Journalism, is also here this afternoon, and we'll give some closing thoughts at the end of the program. Every one of you here has supported and partnered with us and is responsible for whatever success we've had to date. And I want to take a few moments to have some key acknowledgements, starting with some key individuals in the formation of the Terner Center. First, former Dean Jen Walsh and Fisher Center Chair Ken Rosen were responsible for recruiting me and working the bureaucracy to make it happen. And believe me, that is no easy task. Then Rick Holliday, along with his wife Nancy and Michael Covarrubias, agreed to stick their necks out, pledge some financial support to this effort, and then use their networks to add to my networks to help raise what I would call the early seed capital for this venture. And that was before there was a there, no name, no logo, no staff, no mission statement, just an idea. And each of the people just mentioned also provided their thought, partnership, and support as we launched. Yet I have to say this, there is no one more critical to this early equation than Dr. Carolina Reed, Associate Professor at UC Berkeley, who provided invaluable advice, housing market expertise, mentored me in teaching, showed me by role modeling how to produce quality research that packs an impact. She also led our early team members and students to do the same. She continues to this day as a true partner in leading the Terner Center's endeavors. I also could not have made any of these early days work without Sarah Draper-Zavetz, a student who became associate director and helped us grow in so many ways. For all of you, my deepest gratitude. The Terner Center is fortunate and eternally grateful for the financial and intellectual thought partnership of our founding supporters, which are shown here. I vividly recall the first gathering we had in January of 2016. George Marcus and Michael Covarrubias co-hosted a lunch in a small private room in a restaurant. I happen to remember that it was pouring rain. Hope we get some more of that soon. There were only about 20 of us then, and we had a robust conversation about housing challenges and how a Terner Center might make an impactful impact on this challenge. So look what you started. I hope you are proud of your investment in this effort and the leadership you had to take that leap of faith. That faith also encouraged others, and now we have grown from fewer than 24 funders to triple that. And we have these major funders that are making extraordinary contributions, expanding our capacity. Our champions and our affiliates not only give us their financial support, but also their intellectual support and their data, construction cost data, resident information from their properties, interviews, making sure that what we are doing makes sense. We also have many direct research partners in addition to the core operating support I've talked about. Entities like the California Housing Department, the Air Resources Board, HUD, Fannie Mae, Next 10, so many others contribute to specific research projects. We are tremendously honored by your support and will continue to work every day to make the impact that you seek. I do want to take a minute to specifically acknowledge the contributions of 4 men who are no longer with us: Gerson Baker, Alan Stein, Scott Ward, and John Stewart. Philanthropists, mentors, and friends of the cause of uplifting lives through better housing. We miss you. Ben will talk more later about our current and expanding team, but I just want to give you my own personal thanks to everyone on the small but mighty Team Terner, including our visiting scholars and fellows. We grew a team of 6 when Elizabeth Kneebone and David Garcia, our research and policy director, joined us 3 years ago. Michelle Boyd followed soon thereafter. We have many graduate students who contribute to our work all along the way as well. And last and definitely not least, a very special shout out to Cora Johnson-Grau and Susan Leong, not only for putting together this event today, but for all you do each and every day. Today we are here to celebrate your work. This is your success. So what have we accomplished? I want to take just a few minutes to talk about how we made our mission statement actionable. We focused our work these first 5 years on the 3 areas you see on this slide. What makes this work unique and we think impactful are the principles and methods embedded in our approach. First, we understand that housing affordability cannot be solved without focusing on the broad spectrum of households. And that's a little bit radical. And let me emphasize this. We use the words uplifting people of all walks of life in our mission statement to underscore that if housing systems and the government rules that regulate them cannot serve all households, we will never be able to solve the problems of the most vulnerable and the most in need. That is why we have focused important work on reforming land use policy that makes room for all in communities, all types of housing at different income levels. Second, we recognize that we cannot solve climate change, as our governor was saying, or racial injustices without housing policy and practice that support all 3. These issues are interdependent, and one cannot be fixed without fixing the other 2. This is particularly true in what I would call high job growth, high barrier to development communities. And that's why we focus significant research on expensive California and West Coast metro areas. And I'll tell you this, if I learned anything in my 5+ years in Washington, D.C., it is this. Housing policies and programs have largely been developed at the national level by and advocated for constituencies from the Northeast and the industrial Midwest influences. And while understandable from a historical perspective, Terner aspires to fill what I think is a huge vacuum in the thinking around what is needed at the federal, state, and local level that is different from the current policy so that high-cost places can become more affordable, equitable, and climate resilient. Last, I think our impact and influence on these core issues is because, frankly, we've broken the mold. We are simply built differently. And what do I mean by that? Because of your support and partnerships, Terner Center, well, is like a hybrid car. We have the ability to both do foundational, long-term, impactful work that supports housing policy in the country and shines light on where things need to have bold change. At the same time, we're flexible and do timely, what I would call rapid response work when legislative action is needed or shifts in the external environment like COVID come along. Because we've built the center on flexible donations and gifts supporting our core work, we can act quickly and independently. And this is frankly a pretty unique model for a think tank or an academic institution. Further, we're interdisciplinary. We have experienced researchers, data scientists, and practitioners, former government officials, all that come together in a unified way to produce the work that we do. As a result, we're adding facts and data alongside our experience and our passion for just and sustainable places. I think this earns us credibility as a trusted partner to many, to government, to private developers, to nonprofits, to innovators. We hopefully present and provide educational content that a broad range of people can absorb, hear, and use. Yeah, we have a point of view about what it takes to create vibrant, sustainable, and equitable communities, yet we strive to implement that in ways that find common ground and are fact-based. We also ground truth, as I said earlier, all of our findings with you, our trusted partners. We also know that we can't get to all of this change that we need without significant innovation in both policy and practice. I like to say that we could have named this the Terner Research Institute, but we didn't. It is the Terner Center for Housing Innovation for a reason. We connect the research and the policy development we do with the work in practice. That means work like showing that all the layers of public subsidy that we put into affordable housing adds direct cost to that work. That's an inconvenient truth, but one we need to grapple with. It also means sharing best practices. Sorry about that. Also means sharing best practices on how lowering costs through innovative construction technologies or financing tools, and then recommending changes to optimize those benefits from a policy perspective. Thanks to all of you, I believe we have made an important contribution to date, the most significant of which is that we exist in the manner that we do, and I think we're poised to do even more in the year ahead.